The world is a graveyard of hard workers. Since the moment you were old enough to listen, you were fed a beautiful, poisonous lie that the sweat on your brow is the primary currency of success. They told you to grind, to hustle, and to put in the hours. They taught you to be a masterpiece of effort, while they remained the architects of the outcome. Look around you. The donkey works harder than the lion, yet the donkey never wears the crown. If wealth was a direct result of hard work, the manual laborer would be the king of the world, and the billionaire would be the one in the trenches. But the universe does not reward effort. It rewards leverage. Leverage is the holy grail of the sovereign. It is the art of uncoupling your income from your time. Most people are economic subjects. They are trapped in a linear existence where 1 hour of life equals 1 unit of survival. This is not living. It is a slow-motion liquidation of your most finite asset, your heartbeat. Archimedes once whispered to the stars, "Give me a lever long enough and a place to stand, and I shall move the world." He wasn't talking about physics. He was talking about power. In this video, we stop talking about working and start talking about building. We are entering the realm of the ghost and the machine. There are 4 horsemen of leverage. 2 require permission, but the other 2, they are the weapons of the new elite. They are the permissionless levers that work while you sleep, that speak while you are silent, and that multiply your judgment across the globe while you breathe the air of the free. Today, I am going to show you how to stop being an input in someone else's machine and start being the ghost in your own. We will dissect the 4 types of leverage, the mechanics of systemic wealth, and the terrifying truth about why your focus is being stolen to power a machine you don't own. The era of the hard worker is dead. The era of the systems architect has begun. Prepare yourself. We are about to find your lever. Stay sovereign. The 4 horsemen of leverage. To understand the architecture of power, you must first recognize the cages most people call success. While the masses are busy comparing the size of their paychecks, the sovereign is comparing the length of his leash. There are 4 horsemen of leverage. The first 2 are the oldest, the heaviest, and the most deceptive. They are the levers of the old world. The first horseman, labor. For 5,000 years, if you wanted to move a mountain, you needed 10,000 men. This is labor. It is the most primitive form of leverage, hiring other humans to do your bidding. The middle manager at a Fortune 500 company looks down at his team and feels like a god. He thinks he is superior to the gig worker on the street. But Machiavelli knew better. In The Prince, he warns that relying on others is the quickest path to ruin. Labor is messy. Humans have egos. They get tired. They quit. They harbor resentment. I have seen founders with 500 employees who are more enslaved than their janitors. Why? Because they spend 16 hours a day managing the petty dramas of the flesh instead of the grand design of the system. In the hierarchy of status, if you have to manage people, you aren't an architect. You are just a highly paid babysitter. The second horseman, capital. As the world became more refined, the elite traded whips for ledgers. This is capital. Warren Buffett doesn't manage thousands of people. He manages billions of dollars. Capital is a far superior horseman because money doesn't have feelings. It doesn't ask for a maternity leave, and it never sleeps. But there is a terrifying catch. Capital is permission-based. Most successful people you envy are actually beggars in expensive suits. To get capital, you must convince a bank, an investor, or a board of directors to trust you. You are essentially asking a master for a bigger shovel. The moment you take their money, you surrender your sovereignty. You are no longer building your vision. You are fulfilling their ROI. Think of your neighbor who just bought a mansion with a massive loan. He thinks he has moved up. To you, he looks like a king. To the bank, he is just a high-yield battery they can drain for 30 years. He hasn't gained leverage. He has simply increased the weight of his chains. The subjects of the economy are obsessed with these two levers. They want more staff or a bigger loan. They are playing a game of permissions. But the sovereign? He knows that true power doesn't come from asking for a seat at the table. It comes from building a table where the guests don't even need to be human. Stay sovereign. The era of asking for permission is dead, though most people are still clutching their resumes like holy relics. While your peers are waiting for a bank to approve their loan or a boss to approve their promotion, the sovereign has already bypassed the gatekeepers entirely. We have moved from the old world of labor and capital into the new world of permissionless leverage. These are the weapons of the new elite. The third horseman, media, the army of clones. Media is the most accessible lever in human history. In the past, if you wanted to reach 1 million people, you had to own a printing press or a television station. You needed a permit from the state. You needed permission. Today, your phone is a digital printing press that never sleeps. Think about the traditional salesperson. He is a subject of time. He has to wake up, dress up, and travel to convince one person at a time. If he stops talking, he stops earning. He is a biological limit. But a video, a podcast, a book, these are your digital clones. While you are eating, sleeping, or walking in the sun, your media is working. It is whispering your ideas into the ears of 1 million strangers simultaneously. It doesn't get tired. It doesn't ask for a commission. And it never deviates from the script. I once knew a man who spent 20 years becoming the top salesman in his region. He felt superior to everyone, but he was replaced in a single afternoon by a 60-second video that was more persuasive than he could ever be. He was a master of the old world, but in the new world, he was simply obsolete. The fourth horseman, code, the silent servant. If media is your voice, code is your hands. Code, software, algorithms, and AI is the ultimate form of leverage because it is capital that doesn't require a bank. 100 lines of code can do the work of 1,000 employees, but without the ego, the strikes, or the human error. Most people use their phones to consume. They are the fuel for someone else's machine. They scroll, they click, and they surrender their data. The sovereign uses the phone to produce. Compare a traditional factory owner to a software architect. The factory owner is stressed by physical reality, rent, electricity, and the labor we discussed in Part 2. The architect builds a piece of code once, and it replicates itself for zero marginal cost. The factory owner is a prisoner of the physical. The architect is the master of the digital clone. Compare yourself to the average successful professional, the lawyer or the surgeon. They are high status, but they are still slaves to their own physical arrival. If they don't show up, the money stops. They are superior to the laborer in pay, but equal to the laborer in dependency. I, however, am building a digital clone. As you watch this, I might be thousands of miles away, asleep in a different time zone. Yet, my voice is inside your head. My strategy is being downloaded into your consciousness. I am effectively speaking to thousands of people simultaneously, without burning a single calorie of my own energy. While your peers are exhausting themselves to maintain a lifestyle, You are building an entity that grows while you rest. They are candles, burning themselves out to provide light for someone else's room. You must be the sun, an effortless source of power that dictates the orbit of everything around it. This is the ghost in the machine. The machine provides the body. Your strategy provides the spirit. Most people are terrified of being replaced by a machine. The sovereign is terrified of not having one. Are you ready to stop being the fuel and start being the architect? Stay sovereign, the blade that cuts. Both ways. Power is never free. It is merely financed. We have spent this journey discussing the glory of the lever, the ability to move worlds with a single finger. But there's a reason the masses are kept in the dark, performing their linear, low-leverage grind. It's because leverage is not just a tool for creation. It is a force multiplier for annihilation. Most people are too fragile to handle the weight of an empire. They are sheep, precisely because the safety of the herd protects them from the consequences of their own poor judgment. When you become a sovereign, you lose that protection. You trade the comfort of the gear for the terrifying accountability of the architect. Understand this. Leverage is a magnifying glass. If you hold it over a diamond, it reveals its brilliance. If you hold it over dry leaves, it starts a fire that consumes everything. I have seen men who won the game of capital, getting that massive investment, that $10 million loan, only to realize they had merely accelerated their own funeral. They used leverage to scale a broken business model. They multiplied their mistakes by 1,000. Compare this to your neighbor, the middle-class subject. He lives a life of quiet desperation, but he is safe. If he makes a mistake, he loses a week's pay. If you make a mistake with a 100 times lever, you don't just lose money. You lose your future, your reputation, and your sanity. Leverage doesn't care about your good intentions. It only cares about the direction in which you point it. Machiavelli famously wrote, "It is better to be feared than loved, if you cannot be both." In the world of systems, it is better to be right than to be busy. The subjects take pride in their busyness. They compare their 80-hour work weeks like badges of honor, feeling superior to those who slack off. But to the sovereign, those 80 hours are a confession of weakness. It means they lack the judgment to find a lever. However, the price of that leverage is isolation. When you operate a machine that works while you sleep, you are no longer relatable to the common man. You see the world as a series of inputs and outputs, while they see it as a series of feelings and tasks. You become a predator in an ecosystem of prey. You are more powerful than them, yes, but you are also more exposed. The final choice, architect or gear? Nassim Taleb speaks of skin in the game. The architect has his entire soul in the game. If the machine fails, he is crushed by its weight. Most people will watch this series and go back to their linear lives. They will choose the safety of the cage because they fear the responsibility of the lever. They would rather be a small, functional gear in someone else's machine than a struggling architect of their own. And honestly, they belong there. Society needs gears to keep the lights on while the sovereigns dream. But you've seen the ghost. You've understood that your phone is a weapon, your ideas are code, and your time is a currency that shouldn't be spent. It should be invested. The question is no longer, how do I work harder? The question is, am I brave enough to be right? The machine is ready. The levers are in place. The only thing missing is your judgment. Will you step into the control room, or will you crawl back into the gears? Choose wisely. The world is watching, and the machine never forgets. Stay sovereign for the last time.